This episode is all about shrimp scampi. Shrimp scampi is shrimp in a luscious, buttery sauce laced with white wine and herbs. It's elementary. Today I'm going to show you the quintessential Spruce Eats shrimp scampi recipe. But I'm also going to be making two variations, Gambas al Ajillo, that is spicy and smoky, and a classic, iconic recipe in New Orleans, BBQ Shrimp. Oh, that is so good. Once you learn all three of these recipes, you're gonna really understand what makes shrimp scampi, shrimp scampi. This is a quintessential seafood dish, butter, garlic, lemon. The first thing you need for shrimp scampi is garlic. Let's go. You put your head of garlic in the board and you hit it with the heel of your hand. Smash it up, transfer it to a bowl. This is the before. Bowl on top, shake the dickens out of it. It worked! And voila, all of the garlic is peeled. You too can peel garlic like this. Just send 50 cents and a self-addressed stamped envelope to thespruceeats.com. I'm serious. There are two ways of doing garlic for this. You can slice it really thin. It's like in Goodfellas in the prison when they're doing it with a razor blade. Or you can smash it with the heel of your knife and just going across it like that. Now salt will draw out the moisture, and it's also very coarse, will help mince the garlic even faster. All right, and then we'll do some scraping. Me personally, I could throw the whole head of garlic into this dish. It'd be that much better for me. But this is gonna be like 6-7 cloves of garlic. The more you add, keeps more vampires away, and the more it is for you to eat. This comes together very quickly. I'm gonna start on very high heat. It's about 2 tablespoons or as much as you'd like. Here's the shrimp that we're gonna be using today. Pan is smoking hot, which is what we want. I'm gonna lay these in individually. These shrimp have tails on, which is really an aesthetic thing. You can use them as a little handle to grip to eat. I'm trying to keep them in as a single layer as possible. Those are looking great. I don't have a side towel. All right, these are starting to brown a little bit. They look great. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, a little pepper, makes everything delicious. All right, I'm gonna give them a little stir or a pop. Okay, those look great. Okay, I'm gonna add in the garlic. Now the shrimp are gonna keep cooking even when we turn the heat off. So what we want to do now is just have the shrimp a little bit undercooked, but they're starting to curl, peel back. They're mostly cooked. So we're gonna hit it with a little bit of white wine, about 1/4 cup. As you will see through my other recipes, there's a through line of alcohol liquid that intensifies and conducts the whole thing, brings it together, balances everything up. So this is sort of reducing. I'm going to pull it off the heat a little bit, and I'm going to start to add in butter, bit by bit. If you throw in butter when the heat's really hot, the heat is blasting, it'll start to separate, and you'll have a kind of an oily sauce. So here I'm just sort of starting to swirl the butter in. All right, it's starting to emulsify in. You can see it's starting to marry up with that white wine. You can bring it back over to the heat. You can see the sauce starting to form in here, right? It's starting to become a little cloudy as the emulsification happens. It's starting to boil there. Right now the shrimp is sort of bathing, swimming in this garlicky butter sauce, right? I'm sure you can smell it through the screen. It is intense. It's beautifully unctuous. It's buttery. There's salinity and sweetness from the shrimp. We're gonna add some oregano, fresh oregano. This is woodsy, nutty, earthy. Next, we're gonna add some flat leaf parsley. Oh, you don't need to take the leaves off the stems. The stems have the most flavor, people, okay? It's not greasy. It's a pretty emulsified sauce. It's glistening. The sauce is coating the shrimp a little bit. I'm not putting flour or another thickener in this sauce because this is our base recipe, right? This is the one you have to learn before you can stray. This is the fundamental sauce. This is the elementary dish. It needs one other thing, lemon juice. Lemon juice makes everything better. Smells amazing. Sweet, salty. You have the astringency and the bitterness from the garlic. Herbs and lemon juice to round it all out. All right, it's time to dig into a shrimp. Grab it by our little handle, dripping and juicy. Oh, it's so good. And yes, I eat the tail. Let me know in the comments if you don't agree with me. I won't respond. A lot of people, for them, it's not really shrimp scampi or scampi unless it's a pasta dish, right? So we're gonna take some linguine. We're gonna nestle some of that into our saucy shrimp. We also just gonna add a little bit more butter, a little bit of that, okay? And here is the controversial, or as I like to think, not controversial at all, Parmesan cheese in the pasta dish. We're just going to get everything nice and coated. Again, we don't want to overcook the shrimp, so this process should happen pretty quickly. The pro tip on plating up a dish like this is to add the pasta first, right? Making it sort of a bed of pasta for it. Shrimp scampi, pasta style. This is our go-to classic shrimp scampi dish. Now we're gonna move on to a variation that you're gonna find really surprising and also delicious. Okay, so you learned the most basic, the most elementary shrimp scampi. That's sort of Italian-American. And we're gonna move over to Spain. It's still shrimp scampi. It's called Gambas al Ajillo. We are still making essentially the same recipe, but it's gonna have a fundamentally different taste. First, we're gonna go with, guess what? Garlic. I'm gonna slice these garlic cloves this time. The more vampires you drive away, the more you get to eat for yourself, okay? So here's my technique. I'm gonna gather up all this beautiful garlic, avalanche of garlic. Adding some olive oil. So I'm starting with a cold pan, then I'm cranking it up. It's going to slowly emit its garlicky flavor into the oil. It's not gonna cook as fast as it's hitting or searing into the hot heat of a pan, right? And you're gonna have more control. Okay, so this is coming up. The heat's starting to emanate. It's starting to gurgle here, we can see. But if this was a screaming hot pan like the first one, the garlic would be burnt by now, right? And so it's slowly bringing out its flavor. You can see it's filling up the kitchen with this really beautiful garlic smell. It's aromatic, right? Those volatile compounds are being released into the air. The volatile compounds, by the way, are called sulfides. The sulfides are being activated. Don't I sound smart? So I'm gonna add in now a pinch of pepper flakes, right? The fat is going to activate these crushed up pepper flakes. Some smoked paprika, just gonna add a smoky earthiness here. That's also gonna be activated. Pow, look how it just stains the oil like that. So today, we're gonna use shell-on shrimp. So these are kind of like extra large shrimp, all right? We're moving up through each recipe as I show you, getting larger and larger shrimp, right? I can't tell you how much flavor is in these shells, right? So they're also great to peel and eat at the table. People love to do that. I love to eat with my hands. I firmly believe that eating with your hands makes food taste even better. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments. Again, I won't respond. We're gonna bring our pan back over to the heat. I'm gonna add in the shrimp. All right, and work with two hands to get them in quickly. With the shells on, they'll take a little bit longer to cook. All right, so we stuffed our shrimp in here. Again, we're not stirring right away. We want to get a nice little brown on them. So, shrimp cook very quickly. In all these recipes, within 5 to 6 minutes, the shrimp are cooked. So in the first recipe, we added white wine. So for this, we have a Fino sherry. So we're going to deglaze, right? That means adding a liquid to a pan that will loosen up the yummy bits at the bottom of the pan, start to form kind of a sauce with those yummy bits. These are going to continue to cook as they're there. Now, how are we gonna finish this? A little bit of lemon juice, some flat leaf parsley. Again, I did this in the last dish, right? Because these are fundamental techniques. These are the things that make this dish what it is. While I'm stirring this bit, I'm gonna drizzle in a little bit of olive oil to boost that sauce up. See, you wanna keep stirring that. It's almost like making a vinaigrette until it's emulsified in. This little move here is doing the same thing as the butter. Remember that? It almost looks the same. It's just the sauce is a little bit darker, a little more caramelly, in fact, right? But you can see now that this is really coating the shrimp. All right, this looks amazing. I'm gonna try it with some bread. Dip that in the sauce. Whoa. That is so good. Let's dig in here and do some peel and eat. Oh, so good. The sherry has this whole other caramelly, smoky undertone with the paprika. Still shrimp scampi. It's almost the same recipe as the first one. There's a few minor touches, take it to a whole nother place. And then next, we're gonna go down to New Orleans style barbecued shrimp. These shrimp, we've gotten a lot bigger here. These are shell-on. Shell-on's pretty essential to this dish because it really is a much saucier dish, as you'll see in the end. And I have a trick here for deveining shrimp without cutting into the shell, okay? Take the shrimp, you take your skewer, and you can kind of see the vein in here. I'm gonna go in, and we're going to see, we have the vein here, caught under our skewer, and we're just gonna pull it out, see? Just comes right out. So, of course, what are we gonna start with? Garlic, right? Well, you've seen this before. I'm gonna use the smash method here. The heel of the knife will be off the board so you can go flush against the board. Get our pan on. So we're gonna add some butter in here. Get the pan all nice and coated. I'm gonna go ahead and add the garlic in now. All right, you can hear the butter and garlic starting to sizzle. Means we're on our way. The first dish just had some fresh herbs at the end. Our second variation, it used paprika. You could use sweet, hot, we use smoked. In this case, we're now adding Creole seasoning, which is very prevalent in Louisiana. And this contains paprika, thyme, onion powder, garlic powder, secrets. Again, those volatile compounds are being released, mainly from the garlic, from the seasoning. I'm gonna add the shrimp. Okay. All right. That Creole seasoning is making a big difference here. I'm gonna add a little bit more butter to keep this going. I'm gonna start adding black pepper. Now this is not just a little bit of black pepper in this dish. We're talking about a lot of black pepper here. We're gonna deglaze. What do we use first? White wine. Then we use sherry. Now we're adding beer. This is looking really good. So this now gets Worcestershire, right? This gets more Worcestershire than you would normally put in a dish. It's like 2 tablespoons. Then a Louisiana hot sauce. Don't get caught using other than a Louisiana hot sauce. This one's fine. My favorite's Crystal. And I'm gonna add even more black pepper here. Now we're gonna turn down the heat and start one of the most important parts, okay? You see this is very, very, very saucy. Very saucy, simmering, all right? Now we're gonna start to add the butter. This is a lot of butter, people, all right? This is a buttery, emulsified sauce. All right, you want to, again, pull that off the heat, which is a technique I showed you in the first recipe, or an extra one, right? Why? You don't want to add butter to scorching heat so that it'll just start to melt and you have a broken sauce. All right, this is looking pretty good. The shrimp are still bathing in this hot sauce. They're not completely done, but they're almost there. They have the protective layering from the shell, okay? And I'm really paying attention really to the sauce now, right? You can see how it's getting luscious, okay? And again, what's gonna be next? Lemon. Wow, that's delicious. You know what this is missing? Bread. Dip that in, this is really saucy. Oh, that is so good. Woo! Get in there, claw it out. You gotta dip it in the sauce, people. Oh, that is so good. Although most people in New Orleans would not call barbecue shrimp scampi, it most certainly is. It is in the same lineage, it's in the same family tree. It's shrimp and a garlic sauce, which is our statement, right? That is our thesis. Shrimp scampi is scampi style, right? It's a garlic sauce. It's a luscious sauce. It's layers of butter, oil, herbs, lemon juice, white wine, right? There are a lot of roads you can take, variations to make that are the same thing. They just go by another name. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the Spruce Eats for more great tricks and tips and fabulous recipes from the Spruce Eats. Let's scampi out of here. Right, James?